So, my name's Amanda, and I really don't know very much about you. So, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about me, because all I really know about you is that you may be struggling with alcohol, if that's a good way to say it. So, that's something I know a lot about. So, it is my passion. Like, I probably only have two passions. Like, well, that's terrible. I really should say Jesus is my most passion, but I've been singing since I was 3 years old. I love to sing. And then since I was delivered from a very strong addiction to alcohol, I'm very passionate about talking to other people about it. So any opportunity that I get to, I like to talk to young people that don't know anything. Like, I just really like talking about it. So here I go. So first of all, I grew up in a house where people didn't even drink. My dad drank a handful of times. That he'd have some friends over, and they would get drunk like maybe 3 times in my life. Do I remember this? He had a friend that was definitely an alcoholic, and that guy would bring like a whole case of beer, and they would sit there and drink. So anyway, my point is, I didn't even see drinking very much growing up. So it's not like I even was around it. I was not taught anything about it. No one ever talked about it. Literally the most I knew about alcohol was like watching Westerns and seeing cowboys walk into saloons and taking some brown drink in a glass and throwing it back, and so it, was glamorized, So what I saw of drinking was glamorous on television, and something to be sought after. Like, ooh, looking forward to being cool like a cowboy and go up, throw. Just dumb, But that's what I remember, just little things like that. But I was introduced to it by peers. And people that I was around behind my parents' back very young. So when I was 13, I had my first drink, and drank until I got drunk, passed out. I drank like 6 wine coolers at age 13, and like passed out on somebody's couch and came to and was like, wow, like I loved it. Like, I remember having permission to just have as many out as I want. They were in the fridge, and I don't even know who, I remember who gave it to me, but I can't even hardly remember them being there. But I remember liking the drink and being like, ooh, I want another one of those, and going back to the fridge and drinking that. I want another one of those, and go back to the fridge. I think I drank like 6 of them. And so I just passed out and just came to like hours later or whatever. That was my very first experience. And then I was just always around kids that were sneaking and drinking. And so I was doing a lot of sneaking and drinking. So fast forward, basically, by the time I was 16, anytime I was gonna go somewhere, I was figuring out how we were going to get booze. From 13 to 16, there was plenty of times that I would like go to a friend's house, and we'd listen to music and talk about boys, and we would just have fun. But from like 16 to 18, I started realizing that, oh, we're going to get together. How are we going to get alcohol? Do you have liquor? Can we steal some from your parents? Like, who's got alcohol? Like, I started getting very, my events started revolving around how we were going to drink. And then from 18 to 21, I was full-blown alcoholic. And I mean, meaning, yeah, like I didn't want to do anything unless we were going to get to drink. And I drank. So this is the way alcoholism was described to me. And I think this is helpful because, it's very distasteful people don't want to say I'm an alcoholic, like, and you don't want anybody to call you that. It's fine. This is the definition that I have decided, because some people are like, well, I didn't drink every day. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're an alcoholic. It doesn't mean that you drink every day, or, well, I don't, why not? Alcoholics live under a bridge and they're homeless. And okay, well, that wasn't my story. I was definitely powerless over alcohol. So the way I describe it is the way it's written in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is how they said it. If you find that when you take a drink, you have little to no control about how much you drink, you are probably alcoholic. And when you resolve to not drink anymore and like go a period of time without drinking, it's very difficult for you to do that. You find yourself justifying, well, it's going to be okay if I just go ahead and drink. You make all these excuses when other people would just be like, just don't drink. Why are you going to drink? You keep getting in trouble. And you're like, what? It's going to be fine. I'll eat a meal first this time, or I won't mix it with that. Or like we start making all these excuses. It's because I had a red wine. It's because I had beer. Oh, it's because if I drink this instead, like we make all these crazy excuses. So it's not how much you drink or how often you drink, but it's when I put alcohol in me, I have no control over it. Like I know that when I start drinking, I'm going to drink until probably I pass out. Like I'm the last person to leave. I don't want to quit drinking. And when people try to make me stop, or like you talking about getting in a fight, like I'm not gonna like you anymore. Like just get away from me. Like like I don't have panic attack like it used to be. The first time I ever went to an AA. That's how I got sober. I'm not necessarily suggesting that you go, just because after 20 some years of being sober, I have found, and because of my spiritual journey and my belief in Jesus and the pushback that I hear, I don't feel comfortable to talk about Jesus in there. And I don't want to go to places that I don't get to talk about Jesus. Like that makes me feel uncomfortable. So, but anyway, the point was the first time I ever went to a meeting, because there is some real strength in going, to go just to know that you're not alone. But I went to an AA meeting and I heard somebody say something about never getting to drink again. And I was like I just remember this fear shoot physically through my body. Like, don't even say that. Like, why would you say such a thing? Just like, I still remember that feeling. But then I got to a place where I didn't want to drink, but I couldn't not drink. I would wake up in the morning. Oh my gosh. So by the time I was a professional musician, so I was singing in bars. There was never a time that I ever had to be sober. I could get up in the morning, and I lived at the beach. So I'd get up and lay out on the beach, drink, get a buzz, pass out, take a nap, get up, take a shower, go to the bar, drink. My life spiraled down quickly. And so I was 21. I just finally became of legal drinking age, and I was suicidal. I could not. I got one particular night. Well, I got to give you a few glimpses of years from 18 to 21. I would black out, not know where I was when I woke up, not know how I got home, just look out the window. Oh God, my car's here. Okay. Like just, oh my gosh. And would just wake up so guilty, so ashamed, so humiliated, so horrified. And I would just look at myself in the mirror and be like, tears running down my face going, don't do this. Don't do this. Cannot do this today. Not going to do it. I'm not going to do it today. And by 5 o'clock, as soon as I started to feel just a little bit better, I'd be like, I could probably drink. I want one. I want one. And that just went on and on. And I can't hardly talk without my hands. I'm having to hold my phone because it's charging. But I just felt like my life was I was just going down and down and down. And that was my life from 18 to 21. Hardcore. And then I finally, one night, I just was partying with some guys, some friends of mine, like nothing even traumatic happened. I just did what I always did. But that next day, I was so spiritually dark and so like the evil in my mind, the negative in my mind was so thick. And luckily, the guys that I was with were, well, they were not, they had issues themselves. Like the one guy that was my closest friend at that time, I was like in this band, and he had been like in a mental health unit when he was like young. So like I was hanging out with some sketchy people. Okay. So, but he was also like a good, like he was looking at me, and I'm like, I gotta, well, anyway, I kept saying I need to just die. I just want to die. Everything would be better if I just wasn't here, and I just need to die. I just need to kill myself because, that was the only thought. I got to a place where that was the only thought that brought me peace. I would think that, and then I'd go, yeah. That was the only thought that would bring me peace. It was so horrible. And this guy was like, you need help. You need help. And I'm like, okay. So he took me to my house where I had my parents, and they got me help. But what was my point? My point was he was trying to get me. He was like, well, just think about, a good time in your life. Think about, and I remember that night, like looking out, he had to drive me home. Like I was just black, like just dark in my mind. And I'm looking out the window, and I literally could not bring one good memory of my life into my mind. It was that dark in my mind. I could not even think of a good thing. Like I just couldn't think of anything. It was horrible. Anyway, fast forward. This is my biggest hope. This is my thing for you. That this is what I was told to do, and this is biblical, and this is the thing. The good news is Jesus is the answer, even to this. I got on my knees. I was told, I went to this treatment center, and they literally said, go in your little room back there with your little twin bed, with your little person that you're going to be in there, your stranger that you're going to have to spend a room with, because I went into a treatment center. Get on your knees and ask God to remove the obsession for alcohol. Ask him sincerely, wholeheartedly, ask him to remove the obsession for alcohol, and he will. And he will. And now, and the other thing I really need to tell you that you need to understand is that alcoholism, if you want to call it that or whatever, this thing that you're dealing with, it's twofold. Like people will say, it's not just, well, if I just don't drink, I'll be okay. If you're like me, you will have a mental obsession. You will have this gnawing, not helpful voice thing in your head saying, oh, I think it'll be different this time. I think I can get away with it. But you remember how much fun you had? But look at them over there. As soon as you hear that, you immediately pray. You get rid of that. You rebuke it, and you think, nope, Jesus says be sober-minded, and I am powerless over alcohol, and I will not do that. And you have to pray that crap away, because those thoughts will turn into actions. They have for me. And eventually my mind became, God basically gave me the ability to see the truth. And the truth was, I'm sensitive to alcohol. Basically, I like it too much. I like it more than normal people. And therefore I cannot have it. I can't just have a little bit. Maybe somebody can. If you're like me, you won't be able to. And you'll find your own way. But God, when I got on my knees and humbly and sincerely asked God to remove the obsession for alcohol, he did. And I had to do that every day. And I did that every day for years. I was afraid to not get on mine. And at night, I would thank God for keeping me sober that day. And I did that for years. Now, I also early on went to AA meetings and sat with other people who were also trying to, because there was strength in knowing that I was not alone, because it's frustrating. It's frustrating. For my parents didn't understand it. My friends didn't understand it. Like my drinking friends sure didn't understand it. You're not alcoholic. Just, just do this, just or just don't drink. Like nobody got it. Nobody got it. And it was frustrating. So that's the only thing that's amazing is to go sit in a room, in an AA room, and to hear people get you. And you're like, okay. And I mean, you just never hear anybody share raw, real, like you do in AA. I mean, but there's also, there's angels out there. There's demons out there. God, there's good and there's evil. And if you don't name Jesus as your God, then you don't know who you're praying to. And I just don't take that lightly anymore. Like I'm 45. I got sober when I was 21. Now I didn't stay sober that whole time. I stayed sober for like 3.5 years, quit going to meetings, blah, blah, blah. I have a long story. But the powerful, most important thing you need to know is that when you are powerless over alcohol, if you're powerless, whatever you are powerless over, because after that it was men. I was completely powerless over men. I wanted a man. I wanted attention from men. I didn't care. Like, I did care. I mean, I gotta like him, but I'm just saying, it was alcohol and men, like attention from men. Man, that nothing set my mind. Just you get attention and just be like, oh, I want some more of that. I want some more of that attention right there. Just, oh my gosh, I was powerless over it. Like it had so much power over me. I wouldn't be able to focus. I couldn't wait. When am I going to see another guy? Like I need to see another guy. And because then I feel important and then I feel pretty and then I feel, important and pretty. What else is there, right? I loved. So, I was powerless over that stuff. I had to ask God to remove the obsession. And then I had to like think about other people, mainly women, that I could love, pour into, build up. That is what basically my recovery looked like. Pray, read the word of God, look for women, because women are safe and women are going to genuinely care for me as I heal spiritually and physically and all this. And find out who I am in Christ and be grounded in that kind of stuff. But yeah, my arms are starting to shake from holding this phone on the charger in front of me. Anyway, I've made this about twice as long as I wanted to. I was going to try to get it in 10 minutes and it's 17 minutes. I'm sorry. So anyway, yeah, when, in life, I haven't had a drink in years. And it doesn't, well, I just don't let it, like, I just know what kind of power it had over me. And so I look at it like it's poison now. Like I'm afraid to ever let something have a grip on me like that. And I could tell you a little bit about, I let a guy get that much power over me in my marriage. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, whatever, like we all have our sin patterns. The evil one knows what's going to get us. Some people have this obsession, that obsession. Mine was like alcohol and men. So, my husband was not giving me enough attention and then somebody else did. And boy, it was like I had a drink. It was like I had a drink and I was like, yeah, I want another one of those. Like, when am I going to see that dude again? Because if that dude sees me, I feel seen. I feel special. Oh my gosh, I didn't know I could still feel like that, that kind of thing. And it almost ripped my whole life apart. My children's life, it just almost ripped everything apart. And it was really hard to put it all back together. So it's very easy in a situation like this, if you do get a handle on the drinking, to very easily turn away from alcohol towards something else that's just as unhealthy, is basically what I'm warning you. That's very common to go, oh, okay, well, one of my favorite AA sponsors, ladies, she started riding her bicycle like obsessively, like, that's not healthy either. Like, it's got to be Jesus. It's got to be God, a relationship with God. We have this God-sized hole that only He can fill. And we constantly, even now, I will constantly start to feel empty and fill it with scrolling on Facebook or going shopping or, just something empty and shallow that is not going to work. And I'm just going to get more and more empty. And yeah, and He's always the fix. And it's just a lifelong thing. You know, I'll end on this. Jesus, when he was out there in the wilderness and he was starving, you know, and Satan tempted him with bread. Just turn these rocks into stone. And he was like, man will not live on bread alone, but by every word out of the mouth of the Father. And I've just recently been holding on to these nuggets of wisdom from the Word of God, which is, how often do we eat? Usually at least 3 times a day, okay? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I probably need to be praying and reading the Bible 3 times a day. Like, if I need sustenance for my body physically, and I'm a spiritual being that needs to be connected with God, I probably need to be talking to him at least 3 times a day. For somebody like me, a lot more, because I'm a needy person. God made me just a little bit special. But anyway, that's long enough. That's enough talking out of me. And I hope I get to talk to you one day. You could even send me a video like this if you wanted to, or just give me a call. But anyway, I hope this helped you. It helped me to remember where I came from and some of the things I've gone through. God bless you.